Hello YouTube, my name is Marie. Today we are finally going to talk about Flower of Evil, my spoiler discussion. So first I want to give my overall rating for the show, which is a 5 out of 5 star. Can you see that from there? Oh yeah, you probably can. If you see this throughout the video, I burnt myself. But we're not going to talk about it because I'm embarrassed by how I did it. Flower of Evil, it's a 5 out of 5 show. The acting by the entire cast is just brilliant, and the plot is so gripping, and it just gets better with every episode. And I think one of the most memorable villains, at least for me, in K-drama history. It sounds like it's about time for me to make my top 5 favorite villains list. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. So on top of the great characters, the great acting, the overall plot, we've got some really lovely visuals, like it's very artistic to look at, and a great score. So I really do think that Flower of Evil is a must watch for 2020. Okay, so now we are going into the spoiler part of the video, and there's basically only 2 things I really want to talk about. I won't go into depth about the whole show because there's just too much to talk about. Like I mentioned already, there's a lot of twists and turns. I can't cover everything, but what I really want to discuss is the ending. I was actually really behind with my viewing. As most of you guys probably know, I did not watch this one week to week, and I ended up finishing it, like watching the last episode weeks after the finale actually aired. And I was able to stay away from all of the spoilers. Really am looking forward to your guys' comments because I want to gauge how other viewers thought about this ending, particularly the memory loss. So historically, I have not been a fan of the memory loss trope at all. I think it's used for cheap drama, especially if the character regains his memory in the end. But oddly enough, I didn't mind it in Flower of Evil's case. The part of the show that irked me the most actually came before the memory loss, so let's rewind a little bit. Episode 15, that confrontation on the cliffside. Every single cast member just brought their A game. Everything about it was just so perfect on the actors' parts. I did have a little bit of an issue with the writing, but even while I was blinking away my tears, I was really conscious of the fact that I didn't like the logistics of the scene that was happening. I didn't find a few things very satisfying. I don't like how the wife showed up with the police force and she is the one that stopped our male lead from actually knifing the guy. I thought that decision of whether or not our male lead was going to commit murder was such a character defining moment. So then to have his wife just come in and tell him to stop and put down the knife, and he walks into her arms, and it, like, again, the way the scene actually plays out is fine. The acting is brilliant. I just think it could have been done in a way that gave our male lead more agency, and I wanted him to have made that decision for himself. Because he's really not simply deciding whether or not he's going to kill the murderer of his wife, because remember at this point he thinks she died. But he's also deciding whether or not he's going to continue to live as a human being or whether he's going to really become his father's son. So humor me for a second. So say instead of our female lead yelling at him to drop the knife and walk into her arms and all this stuff, and he's like, I don't know if you're real, like I see dead people. Say instead of that, which again is fine, very well executed, brilliant acting. I don't want you guys to think I am detracting at all from the talent of the actors that is in that scene. Again, I think writing wise, I think we could have done something better. He's got the knife, trying to decide if he's gonna knife him, and he hears his wife calling for him in the background. He's already all conflicted because he thinks he sees dead people, so he could very well think he hears dead people. So that voice might trigger a memory of his daughter and them as a family, and then he realizes, you know, my daughter is still alive and I still want to be there for my daughter. Which, if they brought the daughter into this scene, I think the ending scene, the concluding scene when he has lost his memory and he hugs his daughter, I think it would have created a nice symmetry there and really like re-emphasized the power of family going on with this show. So I think the daughter somehow should have been brought into that scene, and then he chooses not to murder because of his daughter, and he chooses humanity for his daughter. And then it could still kind of play out the same way where, like, say the police officers come in just at the right moment, just as he's like put down the knife and started to walk away, and the guy still gets up, goes to stab him, and someone shoots him. Again, I'm not an actual script writer, obviously, so like the logistics would have to be ironed out, but I just think giving him the full agency, and he'd have to make that decision to kill or not to kill in the moment, all on his own, for his own reasons, I think would have been much better. We can't move on before we talk about the actual death of our big bad. I thought his death was so satisfying. Not in the fact that like, ooh, I'm so happy he died, but again with like who killed him, how he died, what it meant for our male lead, because I love the fact that it was an actual cop who ended up killing him, and it was the cop who stepped up to protect our male lead, because our male lead has like a whole lifetime of being disenfranchised by society at large, and he has no trust of authority. So it was so great that the moment he decided to walk into his wife's arms and really choose to be human, that's when the cop came to his defense and saved him from the murderer. I just thought that had some really beautiful poetic justice. The cop shoots the big bad, the bullet grazes our male lead, which causes him to like pass out, and we're not sure if he died or not. Like the ending of episode 15 is very ambiguous, like he's in that white room with his wife in the bed and it looks like he died. And there was a moment that I thought maybe Flower of Evil was going to end up being a tragedy, but then he wakes up and he forgets who everybody is, and I'm reminded that this is a K-drama. Yes, the final episode is basically like a condensed rehash of all of our male leads' development up until this point. I actually thought it had a really nice feeling of, not conclusion, but like a clean slate. It allowed the characters to move forward in a new beginning where everyone's on an even playing field. There's no history of secrets. Honestly, the more I think about the memory loss, the more I actually like it. And I love how he got so emotional when he hugged his daughter for the first time after his memory loss, like at the very end. This was the part that I cried. And I also think it's so beautiful that hugging his daughter triggered memories of her as a baby and him holding her for presumably the first time, or maybe a little bit after that, who knows. So you guys, that is everything from me. I hope you have a good day and a good night. Bye.